Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final Clank section, actually. So, our last bit of Lemmings.
Excellent. Throw that Lemmings ball.
Lemmings Ball, yes. The hot new sport, Lemmings Ball.
Let's make some Lemmings aid. Now that sounds.
What?
That sounds. I don't know. That sounds actually kind of grim, to be honest. Okay. So. Right.
This is the last Lemmings section, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, we are in the last section of the game, so that makes a decent amount of sense. Now remind me, because it's been a while since we did the commentary for our game. The puzzle sections in Spider-Man were mostly just like a screen where you played Pipe Dream, right?
Basically, yes.
Okay, so they weren't as elaborate as these were. Okay.
No, that's one of the only kind of somewhat major complaints I have with Spider-Man PS4 is that most of the side content is just run here and bop some bad guys, run over here and bop some more bad guys. There's not really a lot of variety there, whereas the Arkham games, they have the Riddler stuff where you have to solve environmental puzzles or know your Batman lore. Or
We don't even need to limit the comparison to just the Arkham games. Stuff like Infamous and Infamous 2 had some pretty good variety in side content missions. It was actually one of the things that I enjoyed about Infamous 1. And to be clear, Infamous 1 and 2 have not aged perfectly. So, these are some fairly old games that we're comparing to determine what the standard should be. So yeah, I would say Spider-Man fell short there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people were just kind of expecting that I'm gonna swing around as Spider-Man-y-ness of it would make up for that aspect, which I suppose didn't. Because, I mean, one of the things that people will often say about Spider-Man 2, for example, is that, just swinging around as Spider-Man is a lot of fun, which is true, yes, but I find that a lot of the time I don't play a game just to play it for 10 minutes and have a person and, just control the character and then turn it off. I'm trying to do something a little bit more substantial whenever I'm playing something.
I think, though, part of the thing that makes it hard to create, viable side content for a Spider-Man game is the grandiose, sweeping, scale of everything Spider-Man can do. Because, you want the side content to fit the style of play at least, right? And that's fairly easy to do with Batman. Batman transitions pretty naturally into small scale activities that only require a small amount of space. And Infamous, most of the variety in the side content came specifically from the kinds of mobility and combat options that Cole McGrath had, and to some extent what's the name of the new guy from Second Light, First Son, those two, the new guy and the new girl, the guy who could suck up powers from other conduits, and Neon Lights
Rogue?
girl. What? No.
Rogue?
No, he doesn't do the rogue thing. He actually permanently gains some measure of their power, forever, and he combines them.
Taskmaster?
He
no,
Taskmaster's
Taskmaster's power is watching someone on TV and then taking notes. That's his superpower.
Taskmaster is a fucking Mokujin, okay? So okay.
He is Mokujin, holy.
But I haven't played Second Son to completion yet. I just know that the main character's power in that game is that he gains the conduit powers of other conduits. So like he like first,
I have the power to have all powers.
Oh, fuck
Like-
you.
I use that power to turn Kyle into a chicken.
Seriously though, the kid on the playground who, I shoot you with my laser. Well, I have an unbreakable shield to stop your laser. Well, I have an unbreakable hammer that can break any shield. Screw you. All right. I just want to shoot you with my laser. Just say you dodge. All right? Sheesh.
man, I really do like the Infamous series, and I'm kind of like disappointed with myself that I never got around to recording the games when I wanted to.
That Infamous is the one where you have lightning powers, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And Prototype's the one where your arm is a scythe, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm glad I have
So-
that. I'm glad I have that covered.
If you want to play both at the same time, all you have to do is play Resident Evil 6 in the Chris campaign as Pierce, because he gains lightning powers and an arm scythe.
Wait, Chris gets an arm scythe?
No, the
Pierce.
Wesker's kid.
No, not Wesker's kid. No, Pierce is the soldier guy that Chris partners up with for his campaign.
Wow. It's been so long since I've even touched that game.
Well, it hasn't. It has been a while since I last played it, but I did recently like refresh all my memories regarding the game by doing the editing job for John's review of it. So,
Have people's opinions on Resident Evil 6 changed at all?
not
Not
really.
really.
Like if you didn't like it before, you're probably still not gonna like it. But like a fair number of people do like it just for the dumb action shenanigans you can get up to. And as a dumb action game, it does have some good mechanics. It's just like it's an overambitious mess in a lot of ways.
It's one of those things where you can get some better enjoyment out of it now that we have, 7, Remake 2, etc.
Yeah.
Bringing it more back to its roots. So now it's not, the big pile of shit that it was, bringing the franchise down anymore. So
It's not like it's not like we have to worry about it being the direction that the series goes. It's there's a little less pressure to not like the game, I suppose, in a way. I don't mean pressure on the part of anyone else. I mean, like, you don't have that particular factor affecting your decision making anymore. You can't, you're fine. Just like, it's fine to just look at the game now and see it as, yeah, it was that dumb action game that should never have been made, but we're past that. So why not just enjoy it as a dumb action game now that it's behind us?
Because Resident Evil 4 is the best game ever made. We need to remake it again.
I'm actually kind of looking forward to that because they've showed.
I actually have not seen the Resident Evil 4 remake trailer, so I'm
It's
gonna
kind
look
of
that
like
up right now.
It's push like I don't think we've seen much in the way of gameplay yet, but it's definitely pushing a more Resident Evil 2 remake kind of feeling.
Well, I mean, at least from the trailer, I doubt they've showed any of the stupid stuff.
no, they
From-
haven't. They unfortunately, we've only ever seen snippets of the village stuff.
Well,
so.
we've seen a bit of what Ashley Graham is going to look like, and she's definitely looking like more of a serious, likable character now, as opposed to
Britney Spears.
no. That's a horrible disservice to Britney Spears. Never compare those two characters ever again. Why did I just call Britney Spears a character? She's a person. Never compare those two people. Well,
Britney Spears is real.
okay, so they're definitely going in a more serious direction with Resident Evil 4, and, I know people say, oh, Resident Evil 4 was great because it was so campy and silly and dumb. And, yeah, maybe. But it's also extremely out of touch with all the games before it and all the games after it, and it's a really odd step to play if you're going through the series front to back and want to go through every step in the story in sequential order, because it just seems like Leon goes insane for 20 minutes,
It's also just very odd because The first third village section is legit horror and actually extremely well done with it. And then you just get to the castle with Ramon Salazar, and it's just off-the-wall nonsense
Yeah.
for a third of the game. And then you get to the military complex, which is still silly at points, but you also have the regenerators in there, which are legitimately tense.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of Village, though, they're also adding a third-person mode to Resident Evil 8.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
yeah.
That
It's
game
like,
came out like 3 years ago.
yeah, but it's like now we can play Resident Evil 8 in third person as if it's Resident Evil 2 remake, and it just looks actually kind of really fun. You know? I think it'll make certain areas of the game a little bit more doable, to be honest.
More
Because-
importantly, you can play as Tall Lady in Mercenaries.
Oh yeah, they're also
Wait,
adding
they put who is its face McFetish girl into Mercenaries?
well,
Mercenaries?
in the
Yeah.
original game's Mercenaries mode, the only character you had was Ethan. They're adding like all of
They're
the
adding
lords
Chris.
minus Moreau.
No, you're not the Doll Lady either.
Oh,
They're adding
yeah.
they're adding Chris, Heisenberg, and Tall Lady.
Chris Heisenberg and Dimitrescu, yes. And there's also an epilogue chapter starring grown-up Rose, so that's nice.
Oh, that's cool. Is this paid DLC or free DLC?
Paid DLC.
Big deal.
Okay. Honestly, I'm for new old games getting new DLC. Like that's just cool to see an old game getting.
It's not like old, so
We've known for a while. We've known for a while that they were planning to do DLC for Resident Evil 8, but like I think it was just like slowed down because obviously it's been a hell of a couple years for everyone. So, yeah. But, you know, it's not as infeasible to sell DLC for less fresh off the presses games these days, specifically because a lot of people aren't necessarily able to play them at launch because they don't have the platforms for it. Or the platform they have is kind of subpar for the game in the case of Resident Evil 8. I wouldn't say that the PS4 was necessarily a bad way to play Resident Evil 8, but it was definitely less smooth an experience than it could have been.
they're also thankfully not pulling a Nintendo and releasing it on Halloween.
What?
I'm still confused as to why they released Luigi's Mansion 3 on Halloween.
On
by the time anyone can get it, it was November, not Halloween anymore.
That's kind of like dumb because like no one's gonna actually play a game extensively, at least on Halloween.
I mean, Derek did, but
well, no one in the hyperbolic sense that actually means very few people. Okay.
yes, I know.
Most people are going to be out doing things on Halloween, is what I'm saying.
I guess the idea was that it can be like a instead of a scary movie night, which is traditionally a Halloween thing, you can have a Luigi's Mansion night. On
If Luigi's
Halloween.
Mansion were a multiplayer game worth a damn at launch, then sure. But,
Hey, you aren't gonna play the pool tube mode?
I don't
for
even know
Luigi's
if
Mansion 3 multiplayer.
I don't even know if the multiplayer stuff was available at launch.
It was. It's just like even more half-assed than the typical platformer stuff that you would see.
I mean, the multiplayer mode in Luigi's Mansion is fine for casual, like, party game stuff, I suppose, but you're not going to do that before playing the single-player game, because it's kind of just like a thing that you do after you finish the single-player game. When you already know how the mechanics work.
There's also the... it's not just that. There's also the Scare Scraper mode, which they did put a decent amount of effort into trying to do.
Yeah, but like that stuff is all designed so that you do it after you finish the game and know how all the mechanics work. Like, I defy you to find more than one person on this earth who started Luigi's Mansion in multiplayer before playing the single player. I mean, I know there's at least one
clearly
person
not
because
the-
there's
not the
always at
way.
least one, but
It's clearly not the way. I mean, I guess they just wanted to like... They were like, oh, we have this spooky game. Let's release it on Halloween. But, I don't know.
By the time anyone gets to it, it's November.
That sounds like a release date that was decided for the gimmick and not so much for like a sensible purchasing day. But generally you want to release games on a day people will actually buy them.
There's that, and if you're going the whole seasonal angle, like releasing a horror game in October, you want to do it like second week in October so people have time to get into the mood for it.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I'd play a spooky game around Halloween if I was feeling festive that year, which I never am, but I'm kind of weird that way.
I'm just not much of a horror person, so Halloween doesn't really do much for me.
I'm just not much of a holidays person, to be honest. Like they always sneak up on me, and I'm always just like, huh. Well, that was a thing that happened every time one of them is done. What was that?
So now we're doing the Rivet section without a...
We don't have anyone here with us, yes.
Without anyone here with us, okay.
Yeah, because Rivet found out that kid was the one who blew her arm off.
Oh.
Rude.
Well.
And everyone's campster, so we gotta go save them.
Almost to processing. It's really getting worse out here.
Thankfully, one person can infiltrate this entire prison and get everyone out, no problem.
It's not as hard to play the game without your robot companion anymore, though, because you have so many more mobility options when you got the frickin' jet boots, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because you said that in the previous games, whenever you lost
Well,
Clank, it was a big deal.
for example, in the first game, there's a planet where you can't go out with Clank on your back because it's a lightning storm, and,
He's all metal.
yeah, I guess we're operating on Breath of the Wild logic before Breath of the Wild. Anyway, Ratchet has to go out on his own, and the planet is basically a death trap of, like, really precise platforming challenges that you have to do without the hover pack and stuff. So you're doing, like, ice physics slip and slide over really narrow platforms and jumping around on them at the same time. It's that kind of platforming. And yeah, it was specifically made to be a planet that was more challenging because you didn't have your usual safety nets. Whereas here, it's like, yeah, you kind of got a lot more aerial mobility without your robot pack than you used to have. So, like, you don't need the hover pack to make a longer jump because you can just jet boots your way up to the edge and do a really long jump. It used to be that if you wanted to do a long jump, you'd have to have like Ratchet give you a little propeller boost across the pit. But that's not necessary anymore because you've got your own boosters. And it's like, yeah, I'm not really sure that I need this robot backpack to get anywhere anymore. I mean, it's definitely nice having a decent, like, hover or double jump, but...
I will say, though, having to play a game where you're used to that is always very different than when you lose it. I think that's a big reason why after, especially in Mario games, for example, like, part of what makes those flood sections so hard is that you don't have the safety net that you are used to using the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
But
at the
the
same
other
time,
thing is that, like, every game after it did have its own kind of safe... Oh, no, that's not strictly true. 3D Land and 3D World don't really have a safety net mechanic. But Galaxy and Odyssey certainly do. They
well,
have
I
the
mean,
spin jump and the tabby tricks.
3D World definitely has a safety mechanic if you're playing as Peach.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So you can absolutely play the game that way if you want to.
Yeah, but I have noticed that there is a very big difference in, like, whereas the hover nozzle kind of just cheats platforming altogether, in Galaxy and in Odyssey, you get a much more subtle kind of corrective tool as opposed to just being able to float, you know?
Yeah, but, like, it made sense in Sunshine because Sunshine was definitely more focused on exploring big, wide open spaces.
Yeah.
Like all of Flood's attachments facilitated that in a different way. Like you were hovering to stay airborne and correct your jumps. You were rocketing way high into the air to get to higher areas more quickly. That sort of thing.
Yeah.